Happy New Year, everyone. From Sonino Mission House in Berkeley, I'm Father Joe Nazel. This past week, the so-called bomb cyclone has covered the Bay Area with relentless rains and thick clouds and strong winds. And this Sunday, in the first reading from the Feast of the Epiphany, the prophet Isaiah describes a similar scene. Darkness covers the earth and thick clouds cover the peoples. But then the prophet proclaims not just a break in those clouds, but how the people will receive a great light that will bathe them in hope and peace and forgiveness. The prophet promises, "Upon you the Lord shines. Nations shall walk by your light, and kings by your shining radiance." A few years ago, I was subbing at a parish for the Feast of the Epiphany, and at the Saturday evening Mass, a little girl came up for communion, and she radiated a joy that her face could not contain. Her smile was contagious. Her mom was standing right behind her and indicated that the girl that was not old enough to receive yet, but it was clear the little girl was thrilled to be there. She was a bundle of joyful energy, and her mother, rather than scolding her to behave or to be more reverent, was beaming almost as much as the little girl. I found out after Mass that the little girl's name was Dawn, an appropriate name if there ever was one, and I thanked them for the joy that they brought to me that night. The prophet Isaiah, writing to a people feeling forsaken and forgotten, offers a vision of people streaming back together as caravans of camels and guests from the east come bearing gifts of gold and frankincense, foreshadowing the familiar story that we hear in the gospel. And then the prophet says, "When this happens, you shall be radiant at what you see. Your heart will throb and overflow, as radiant as that little girl named Dawn and her mother." The Epiphany story proclaims that this radiant dawn of God's love is not just for a chosen few, but for all. The journey of the Magi is our journey. We come from where we are, guided by a star. There are times, though, when the bright lights of the city blind us to the star that guides us, and we can begin to lose our way. Maybe this is what happened to the Magi. Remember, they did not have the benefit of GPS to find Jesus, so the star was their Siri. And when they hit the bright lights of the big city of Jerusalem, they lost sight of that star. Being wise men, they stopped and asked for directions. One might question their wisdom, though, when you consider where they stopped and who they asked. But when they leave the dark night, King Herod, they catch sight of the star beaming once again over the outskirts of the tiny town of Bethlehem. And they do not hear the voice that says, "Your destination is on the right." But if Siri were an angel, she might say, "Behold, you have arrived at the light of the world." Once they enter the place where the child is cradled in the arms of his mother, they fall to the ground and they did him homage. And when they finish their time of adoration, they offer the child the gifts that they've brought to the baby shower: gold and frankincense and myrrh. Now, the gold the parents could use. The frankincense would come in handy to help cover up the animal odors in the manger. After all, the stable could get a little ripe when the sun rises and warms. But even Mary had to wonder about the myrrh. What an odd gift to bring to the baby shower. It's the ingredients that one uses to prepare a body for burial. Even at the crib, we cannot escape the cross. We don't know how many miles the Magi traveled or the hardships they experienced along the way. We don't know how many detours they took or how much road construction they encountered or how many times they got lost. But they always kept their destination in view. And no matter the disappointments or the obstacles, the setbacks or the struggles they encountered on the way, all their problems were eclipsed in the radiant light of a child cradled in the arms of his mother. The light that guides our journey on earth does not always shine as bright, and so many times we lose sight of it. We may get distracted and lose our way. Other lights compete for our attention, and we focus on the next tweet or text or email. Sometimes we lose our way because the false lights blind us to the truth. This feast of Epiphany encourages us to pause and consider what is the guiding light of our lives. God continues to shine, even though the thick clouds may block the divine presence from our sight at times. But when we recognize the light that breaks through these dark clouds of doom and beckons us to follow, we will understand what drew these three wise men from the east. The Magi shows us how to trust, not only in the light that guides our journey, but also in the power of our dreams. Because after paying homage to the child, they did not go back to Herod. Their intuition was confirmed in a dream, and they avoided Herod and went home by another way. As we embark on this new year, may these words from the poet Christine Rogers become our prayer. Be bold like the Magi. Do not tarry, settling into comfort, but rather set out, keeping the star in your vision. It will lead you to a place where you're most in need of, the place where God is. And if the angel warns you in a dream not to return by the old way, please listen. May you and your family have a happy and healthy new year as we continue to meet in prayer. God bless.